Why did Fidel Castro overthrow Batista? Imagine a country where the government is controlled by one powerful man, and the people feel oppressed and ignored. This was Cuba in the 1950s under the rule of Fulgencio Batista. So why did Fidel Castro decide to overthrow him? Fidel Castro was a young lawyer and activist who had seen the corruption and tyranny of Batista's government firsthand. In 1952, Batista seized power through a coup, ending the democratic republic that Cuba had enjoyed for over a decade. This coup was a turning point for Castro, who had been involved in politics since his university days. Castro tried to use legal means to challenge Batista's rule. He filed a lawsuit against Batista, accusing him of corruption and violating the Constitution. However, the courts refused to hear his case, and it became clear that the legal system was not going to bring about the change Castro and many Cubans wanted. Frustrated with the lack of legal recourse, Castro decided to take a different approach. He formed a paramilitary group known as the Movement and began planning an armed revolution. On July 26, 1953, Castro and his followers launched an attack on the Moncada Barracks, one of the most important military garrisons in Cuba. Although the attack failed, it marked the beginning of a long and bloody struggle against Batista's regime. Castro's motivation was not just personal. It was driven by a desire to free Cuba from what he saw as an oppressive and corrupt government. He believed that Batista's rule was morally wrong and that the only way to bring about change was through a revolution. Castro wanted to restore freedom, equality, and political power to the Cuban people, who had been denied these rights under Batista. The revolution was also fueled by anti-Batista sentiments that were widespread in Cuba. Many Cubans felt that Batista's government was looting the country and treating its people unfairly. Castro tapped into this sentiment, rallying the poor and mistreated Cubans to join his cause. Throughout the revolution, Castro's leadership and strategic thinking played a crucial role. He maneuvered against other opposition groups, forming alliances and pacts that ultimately helped him secure power. By the time Batista fled Cuba on January 1, 1959, Castro had become the dominant figure in the revolution, ready to lead the country into a new era. In summary, Fidel Castro overthrew Batista because he believed that the only way to bring freedom, equality, and justice to the Cuban people was through a revolution against an oppressive and corrupt government. His actions were driven by a deep sense of justice and a determination to change the fate of Cuba.